Hello guys, welcome to the Talking News. I fixed that boo-boo. Also, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe, push that notification bell. So what we're going to be doing right today is we're going over the Sylvia Pearson case. This case is just absolutely devastating. And in this video, we will be going over what her friend had to say about her estranged husband, Charles Pearson. If you're not familiar with the story, please refer to my earlier videos. That way you can familiarize yourself with what's going on. Because if you start here, you might not understand exactly what's going on. I'm trying not to repeat myself too much. So, Sylvia Pearson is a beloved mother, daughter, sister, aunt. And at this moment, I still don't have a lot of information on her background of what, who she was. But we do know that she was cared about. And, her friends were very devastated after watching the news. And one of her friends, in fact, Skaggs, had this to say. She watched Charles Pearson, the husband of her friend Sylvia, the woman that went missing, and KCK, and she seen it early that morning on the news, walk toward the police with his gun drawn. Skaggs says that she was in complete shock, because these were friends of hers. She realized, hey, that's my friend. She says, I just lost it. To Skaggs, she says that the last time that she seen Sylvia and Charles, her and Charles had actually separated. In fact, she says that they did talk about the relationship a little bit, and Sylvia told Skaggs that she really didn't want Charles to know, where she was living at the present time, but said Charles did find out where she was living. According to her friend Skaggs, she says the fact that Sylvia went missing was very out of character for her. According to some articles, she says that it's just not something she does. She's a very organized, she has a routine type person. She don't just disappear. Now this was early, let's see. So Monday, August 12th. 2019, Miss Sylvia Pearson goes missing after the family reports that she went off with her estranged husband earlier that day and she never come home. Her family said they tried to contact her throughout the day, but they could not get a hold of her. Of course, this sent, the family alert to go up. It caused them to call the police department late Monday. The family ended up filing a missing persons report. Somehow they were able to do that pretty quickly, I think. The police pinged Sylvia's phone, and it was showing that she was in Cass County, that is Missouri. Now, according to this article, around 1 or 2 a.m. Tuesday morning, so this is Monday going into the early morning hours of Tuesday, police officers try to contact Charles Pearson. At some point, they are able to reach Charles, and Charles agrees to speak with police, so he comes into the office. At some point, investigators actually search his car and home, which is in Lenexa. And for my research at the moment, really doesn't say whether or not they come up with anything. They just say they search it. So at some point later, he leaves the police station, and Charles reaches out to friends and family that he is suicidal. Now, we did hear about, the property of a U.S. representative was actually one of the properties searched. Ended up being absolutely nothing there. In fact, the FBI, the police actually called for the FBI to help them, locate Sylvia and her phone and where it last pinged. And that was in Cass County area, according to this information that I have, which they said is a very, very broad area. So it's kind of narrowed down to a spot, but it's not a small, pinpointed area that they are, alerted to. So, but at some point also that Tuesday, they get a new tip and lead, which I'm thinking it must have been the call to 911 alerting police of Charles Pearson's, confession to a stranger at a hotel in KCK. The manager of this hotel room in which Charles was staying, is what we're hearing, says Charles Pearson come up to him, seemed to be aggravated and angry. Now, there are several news sources right now that are giving different accounts as to what Charles Pearson said, but this is the basic idea. He told the manager of the hotel he just killed his wife and that he was armed and headed to Legends shopping outlet, and that he might want to call 911. In another article, it says that he says, I just killed my wife and I am armed and dangerous. I'm heading to the Legends. You might want to call 911. What we're hearing is this couple had actually split up in February. I'm not certain if they mean this February or the February before. Sylvia had actually moved out and was living in a different household separate from Charles Pearson. I want to go ahead and get back on this real quick. So the hotel manager did call the police, and the police were able to catch up with Charles very quickly, where he was stopped in an intersection, and he got out of his car, pointed the gun toward the police, and we hear that he shot a few shots towards them, and the police ended up shooting him, and he is now deceased as well. But what we're told is police did try to negotiate with the guy first. Turns out that did not work out. It didn't go the way they wanted it to. So also on Tuesday the 13th, like I said, he reached out to his friends and family, and we also found out that there was a note that he left at his house, telling investigators and the police where they could find the remains of Sylvia Pearson. Now, and what we're hearing inside that letter, there was nothing much more to it other than, pretty exact details of how to find her. So, yes, police did recover Sylvia Pearson. So we are learning a little bit of background about Charles Pearson. We're finding out that he has had history of domestic violence back in 2018. That's what we know at this time. Police are saying that this is most likely a homicide, and they will be looking into it and treating this case as it is. They're still waiting for, the autopsy to come back. But as far as they know right now, what they know, they do believe it is a homicide. Now, we're hearing that the couple only had 2 children, but I've seen a Facebook post where I thought she mentioned 3 boys. I could be wrong. Right now, what they're saying, and they're saying they're not even sure, is there's 1 adult and 1 juvenile child involved with this couple. 1 is hers, and 1 supposedly is, a child through their marriage. What I'm hearing at this moment is Sylvia lived in Overland Park, which is a little bit of ways from Lenexa where Charles lived. Be patient with me, guys, because, always new cases are going to be kind of not the most accurate information. So Charles Pearson was a 21-year veteran, USA Army Ranger. He did two terms over in Iraq. I don't know what you call it. But yeah, he was in Iraq twice and served. So Charles is 51 years old as far as we know. And he had recently joined a church. And what we're hearing is he had spoken with, I guess, the preacher or, whoever's over that church about he was very uncomfortable with the fact that he was trained to kill. And he was having trouble dealing with it. Of course, one thing I want to make sure I mention right here is a lot of our veterans are being neglected. And a lot of them are suffering from PTSD, many other things, other mental illnesses, stresses, anxieties. And they'll go to the doctor, but the doctors don't know how to help these guys. And they're kind of left out in the cold. A lot of them turn to drugs and alcohol to try to ease their pain and end up in rehabs and just nothing ever really to help these guys get through this. And so I want to make sure people realize that mental health care in this nation is so weak. We have no institutions to house those that need to be housed, and they're just running loose on the streets, causing chaos. Not only that, doctors are giving out prescriptions such as Wellbutrin for like quitting smoking and that kind of thing, which they're not understanding that the effects from this drug, if you have a mental illness, is going to increase the anger and violence inside. The new drugs that we have coming out right now should have red flags. Guys, you just don't understand how dangerous some of these drugs are for people with mental illness. And I'm not just talking about psychopaths here or people on the edge. I'm talking about people with bipolar disorder. There could be no signs of violence or anything like that, and they take a drug like Wellbutrin, and they're going to feel some strange effects, and then it's going to push them to commit a homicide. And these people, is it truly their fault? Because we are not understanding these drugs that we are pushing out, these new drugs, and feeding them to people. All these new shootings and things like that, we need to look into it and see if there's prescription medication involved. What are they taking when this happens? This is not a conspiracy theory. I know this because few people I know have taken Wellbutrin. Said it created some really odd thinking in them. And one of them, violent thinking. They had to get off that medication because it was so severe. So yeah, I don't understand how, we are evolving backwards when it comes to being able to understand our medications and what our people are doing. But that's true. That's what we're doing. We just don't seem to care. Anyways, I want to use this as an awareness. Because a lot of people are out there wondering, how should this medicine make me feel? And let me tell you, the Mayo Clinic give us a little bit of an insight of dealing with medications like Wellbutrin, and they say it may cause some people to be agitated, irritable, or displays other abnormal behaviors. It says that it can have the effect on people to where it gives them suicidal thoughts and tendencies, or to become more depressed. Make sure the doctor knows if you have trouble sleeping, get upset easily, have a big increase in energy, or start to act reckless. Also, tell your doctor if you have sudden strong feelings such as feeling nervous, angry, restless, violent, or scared. If you or your caregiver notice any of these side effects, tell your doctor immediately. But what this doesn't say is the fact that you can become homicidal. This is true. This is not conspiracy theory, as I mentioned before, and it's something that I want people to be more aware of. For some reason, they are walking on eggshells to tell the truth of what these medications do to people. So why is it that these people that are taking these medications are not able to be, their doctors aren't seeing those effects? Well, these people are quite embarrassed, most likely, or the doctor's just really not, keeping up with their patients like they should. Not only this, there should be better warnings on these medications, and there should be more truth of what these people are taking. I'm not saying that this does it to everybody, but sadly, there are people out there that are just afraid to tell you that this medication induced psychosis. So we are hearing that Charles Pearson actually was reaching out to, the church, the head of the church, saying, look, I've been trained to be a killer. I don't like this feeling that I have. And he was kind of saying to him, I still have the feeling of killing, although I'm no longer in the military. That's what he was really saying. And there was just, didn't seem, it was just another case where there were warnings, but there was nothing there, to prevent what would happen next. So, the guy ended up, I think when he went into that hotel room, he was dead set on, he didn't have the courage to take his own life, I think. I think instead he chose, to take the actions for somebody else to take his life. Maybe there's a reason why he did it that way. Regardless of whatever the reasons might have been, it was completely sad, and to me was preventable. I don't know what you guys think. Don't forget to drop some ideas of what you think about this case in the comments below. I love reading your comments when I get the time. And oh my gosh, I feel so bad for Sylvia and her family. I really do. I feel sad for everyone involved with this case. With this case, it's not so much, the cases that I usually try to cover, which, the violent, sex and that sort of thing. But, I just want to make sure that we do address the fact that the mental health of this country is out of control. And if you're watching this and you're listening, you've got to start telling the people around you. We got to start doing something about the mental crisis running in this nation. We don't have enough research on it. That is certain. Because it seems that, if it doesn't make enough money, it doesn't matter. They push the prescriptions because that makes money. But, and psychiatrists and all, they do make money, but they're just not, for things like the institutions where we offer easy help for those suffering in immediate danger of hurting themselves and others. That isn't there. There's nothing there for them because it costs money. It isn't making money. Once upon a time, we used to have institutions in this nation, and we didn't hear much on these stories like this. Now we have loads of shootings out there, and I think that we need to research and have a program running to where we can investigate more into these people that are doing these type of things, their background, the warning signs, everything, and research. Definitely research. All right, guys. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and give it a close because I've gone way over the time I allotted myself to do this video, and it just I just felt like this one was preventable, and it was just really sad, because the warning signs were there. And I think Sylvia seen them as well, and that's why she left. How he lured her, or if he did lure her, did he take her by force? What we don't know right now. To go with him that one last time is beyond me. So, but anyways, guys, I want to wish you guys a great day. Thank you for watching, and guess what, guys? I'll see you soon. Bye.